Hey, travelers, Nitsan Mosery, the traveling investor. What is happening? How's it going? It's been a while since we've had a live show. A lot of things have been going on. I've been traveling. I was in Colorado and different places. Went to see a nice couple get married, and it was beautiful. But we're here today, and it's good to be back. And remember that it doesn't matter that we're born into our families, or that we're born into our society, or into our parents' financial reality. What most people don't understand is that just because we're born into a certain family or a socioeconomic world doesn't mean that's where we have to end up, right? Being born poor is not your fault. Dying poor is, right? And the majority of people live life by default. They accept the cards that they were dealt and offer no resistance to mediocrity. Here on the Traveling Investor Show, we talk about how to live life on your terms, create the life and finances and relationships that you dream of. So join me, Nitsan Mosery, your host, every week on the live Traveling Investor Show, where we demystify the art of mastering your mind, body, and wallet so that you can go out and be at every softball game, at every ballet recital, go on vacation, and tell your boss to go kiss your ass. In today's show, the show is geared to helping people become entrepreneurs, become real estate entrepreneurs, scaling their businesses, taking their businesses either from the ground up to the first floor, or from the fifth floor to the sixth, and from the 10th to the 12th. Wherever you're at, there's always something here for you to grab onto and learn. And today, my guest is an incredible gentleman. His name is Bob LaChance, and he's the founder and CEO of premier virtual assistant staffing company, Riva Global. Now, check this out, man. Bob played professional hockey for 8 years, 4 with the St. Louis Blues here in the States, and 4 years overseas in Europe. And after his pro hockey career ended, guess what he did? He dove deep into the world of real estate and acquired his first flip in 2004. That's a while ago, huh? He's been in the real estate business for a while. He's seen a couple of cycles. He's gone on to do over 1,500 transactions. And let me tell you, this guy, we talk about not being or not letting your past dictate your future, but letting your present moment and who you are now move you forward. And Bob is just the epitome of that, because this is a guy that was a hockey player. He became an entrepreneur, went into real estate. And you know what? I'm not going to tell his story anymore. I'm going to let him tell his story. So without further ado, Bob, what's happening, my man?
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So yeah, pretty amazing stuff. I know we got to talk a little bit before the show, off camera and whatnot. So why, just share with us your hockey experience, right? How was that, right? That was probably a passion of yours. What happened that it ended? What triggered your real estate career? Share with us.
Yeah, no, it was back in, I don't know what year it was. I think it was 90. I went to Boston University 1992 to 1996. I left 2 classes short of getting my degree. So I was, so this kind of paved the way of where I am right now. And I had no other choice but to get into an industry like real estate, because there's 0 barriers of entry. You don't need a degree, any of that crap. So for me, I signed with St. Louis Blues, played in their organization for 2 years. Now I'm in 96, 97. So after I left school, and then after that, 2 more years in the US and 4 in Europe. And then, towards the end of my career, just like anyone that's looking to get into real estate, you're in one career, you're looking to say, all right, what's next? And it's a very challenging time. I do have to tell you, being in a hockey locker room forever, not learning. I mean, when you're in a locker room, you don't really learn much, but, messing around with the guys and just, going to the bars, coming home, working out, all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, you're not talking about business, right? Because there's not a lot of business people that are in the hockey locker room. I know a lot of that's changing now because individuals are getting more educated. We were talking a little bit about that before, because there's so much content online that's free. But back in, back in the 90s, it really wasn't there. So it's pretty interesting. And, towards the end, I started knowing that, hey, listen, I don't want to live in Europe forever. I just had my first kid, and I was thinking, all right, what's next? So I decided to, start buying books, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's how a lot of people got started. And I got the bug. I said, all right, this is an industry I could jump into. I don't need to go back to school. I didn't really, for me, I really respect school now, but back in the day, when I was playing, the only thing I wanted to do is make the NHL, right? And that was the main goal. And when you're young, you don't really understand things. I also got a full scholarship, so that was probably one of the reasons why I didn't take school too seriously, because that if you get something for free, you really don't take advantage of it at all, right? Anything for free like that, it's one of those things. So anyway, I decided to jump into real estate, and I bought a course. A gentleman by the name of Dave Wisnett, I believe, is an attorney investor. I think he's still around, but it was all about real estate, but nothing specific. And I learned one thing about farming areas. So farming areas means getting in a car and driving around neighborhoods, seeing if there's a roof is dilapidated, the grass is long, et cetera, right? Any type of distress. So that's what I did. And I would go home, I'd write down, stuff in my notebook, and I would go to 401.com and I would just pick up the phone and call, right? Those people saying, hey, you interested in selling? I knew nothing. You got to realize I knew nothing about real estate. Absolutely zero. But at that time, I thought I was a rehabber, right? So I make a call, property's listed, first deal, property's listed for 175, I believe. And I put an offer for 135. I had, no access to money. I mean, I had a little money myself. I had no contractors. I didn't have any of that. And the seller did. And I'm like, oh no. I'll be honest with you, I was scared because I didn't know anything, right? So I had to literally, they signed the contract back, sent it back, put a deposit on. I had to find money, find contractors right away, and close within 30 days. So I ended up doing that. I ended up making $2,000 on that first deal. It took me a month to rehab, and then another month to close. We got a buyer right away. But I got lucky. I'll be honest with you. It's not because I knew anything. It's because that's just how it worked out. And but I also realized the big takeaway on that one is I had zero systems. I had no I didn't even know what marketing was. I got lucky. I drove around the neighborhood. I made an offer, and they accepted it. I'm like, that's not business, right? That's just flipping a coin and winning a coin toss. That's all it was. So I joined my local real estate investor association, and I saw pre-foreclosure, and now I was a rehabber. Now I'm a pre-foreclosure specialist because shiny object syndrome. I was going to go anywhere somebody sold me on, right? So first thing I did, or the next event, which was very important, I think this is a takeaway, especially for anyone new or seasoned, is you got to meet the top producer in your area, top producers, I should say. So I walked up to probably 15 to 20 people. I said, who is the top short sale person in the state of Connecticut? They all pointed to this one gentleman. His name's Pat Precourt. He'd be a great guy for you to have in this on this podcast as well. Really good dude. So I walked up. I said, Pat, you have no idea who I am. I'm not looking for a job per se, a paid job. I'll do anything for free. I just want to learn this business. And he goes, you know what? I'm actually looking for a door knocker. And I'm like, all right. It's door knocking sucks, trust me. But
I've been there, done that.
Yeah. My whole mindset on that was, if I learn the business from ground up, then I'll really understand it. So that's exactly what was going through my head. Yep. So he gave me a list of pre-foreclosure properties from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Monday through Friday. I was knocking on doors, giving a leave behind that I created, a little leave behind packet to call me back. And then I would go home. I would skip trace those numbers, go to 401.com or White Pages, and hammer the phone to probably 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. So that's what I did for a full year. And then I got someone to do my job there. Then I started negotiating with banks on the short sale side, and go so on and so forth. So that's really the start of how I got into this gig.
That's awesome, man. It's you're the typical is it an analogy or the poster child of like entrepreneurship, right? Because what do people say? Entrepreneurs jump off the cliff and learn how to build a plane on the way down.
That's right.
Right. So that's kind of like what you did. You're like, listen, man, I don't know jack about shit from real estate, but you know what?
Yep.
Seems like a good deal, right? You had a little bit of sense to say, well, I'm buying it undervalued. You went in, right? Like you said, there was probably a lot of luck, but also you took action, right? You took action, and you went and you said, "There's no way that probably in your mind, you're like, there's no way I can fail. I'm not going to fail on this one, right? Especially being an athlete, right? You have that mindset where I got to get this little freaking black thing in that little black hole. I got to do whatever it takes, right?
That's
So
right.
right, so that mental fortitude was there as well, where you're like, look, I got to take this to the goal line,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's got to.
And on top of that, it's for me, it was, I don't want to go back to school, and you want to make sure you prove people wrong. There's a lot of naysayers in this business, especially when you first jump into real estate. Everyone's an expert, right? I mean, even people that aren't in real estate are experts, and they're a lot of times they just beat you down and say you can't do it, because real estate is not, it's not an easy road. It is very profitable, but you have to actually, like you said, you have to take action. You can make a ton of money in this business, but you got to keep your feet moving forward, because sometimes you take one step forward, two steps back, five steps forward. So that's just the type of kind of how this industry is. And I've worked with, so started a couple of real estate education programs throughout the years as well. And just like you said, working with newer students, it's interesting. You see successful ones and individuals that struggle. The successful ones are the ones that always take action, and the other ones procrastinate. It's you could have 10 people lined up and only one person takes action, but 9 people are complaining, saying that the education program doesn't work. But the one person said this is the best thing ever. It's because that one person actually implements.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. People will not take action, and they will blame you for their lack of success, but they'll never look at themselves and say, you know what, I didn't take action. Right. And it's action is 50% of it, right? The other, obviously, and I want to talk about now, is systems and processes, right? Because you can take action, you can take action, you can take action. That's great. Like you said, I'll drive those neighborhoods every single day. I'll do this, I'll do that. But if you want to go from being that lone soldier, that lone ranger, right? And you want to take your company from a budding flower into this like massive thing, you got to be able to scale, right? How are you able to scale your business, and how are you now able to help other real estate investors scale their businesses?
Yeah, that's a good question. So just taking a step back, when I helped start those real estate education programs, I realized there was a huge void. And this was not only in their businesses, but in my own business. And it was hiring talent that is affordable. And I was always like, all right, is there a service or product out there? And finally, in about 2013, I got introduced to what a virtual assistant was. I had no idea. But it was more common in the real estate agent world back in the day than it is now. So a light bulb went on. I said, you know what? This is exactly what I've been looking for to implement, not only in my own business, but also within all the coaching students, because they needed it. The individuals that didn't take action or were working full time and needed help, right? Or were even doing this business full time, but they were so busy, they were solopreneurs, et cetera, et cetera. So a light bulb went on. I said, all right, so the education program that I helped start, we helped create all the training too. So I'm like, all right, what happens if we implement that same type of idea with virtual assistants? So started my first company 2004 or 14. I wanted to test it for 2 years to make sure that it would transition, and that individuals and real estate agents, investors, brokers, real estate professionals would actually see it as a value add. So I come to find out, fast forward 2 years, worked very, very well. And it was a very good business for me. And I was using my VAs in my own real estate business. So today we're at almost at about 1,000 VAs right now. And these are all in the Philippines. And that's just on my virtual assistant business. We were talking before, my real estate investing business, we did 166 transactions last year, and we're looking to do a little over 200 this year. So we use my virtual assistants in that business as well to drive leads, et cetera.
How can your virtual assistants help with systems and processes?
Yep, very good question. I mean, what we look at, and I'll go over how I use it too, because anything that you do, you could use virtual assistants for admin, bookkeeping, phone calls, building buyers lists. We were talking a little bit about building your credit investor list, as we were talking about. But it's very, very simple, because when you look at your business, you could break it down very simply. at the beginning, we need leads. We can't be we're not in business unless we have a motivated seller lead in the real estate investing. Whether it's an apartment complex, you still need a motivated seller to buy that complex, right?
Absolutely.
So it starts with that. So what we do in our office is we use our virtual assistants to text message, cold call, and also direct mail. So those are the 3 channels that we use today. That may change tomorrow with PPC, whatever. But today, that's exactly what we're doing. And we use our virtual. I think I use about between 10 to 15 of my virtual assistants to do all of that for me personally, because we're doing a lot of volume in different states. But it goes very, very well. So what they do on the text messaging side, just to give you a quick overview, we have a text message tool that we use. We train our virtual assistants to pull a list, get them skip traced. So skip tracing is finding the best phone number for that particular record, inputting it inside the tool that we use, and then our virtual assistants text and also pick up the phone and call to really pre-screen that motivated seller. As soon as someone raises their hand, we have them put it right into our CRM, which is our back office CRM. We use Podio, and it goes right into Podio to our sales floor, and they pick up the phone. So same thing with cold calling. So they do the same thing with we give them a list, they skip trace them, they put it into the tool we use, they get a motivated seller, boom. We have a form that attaches right to our Podio, and it comes right to our sales floor. So same exact thing of systems and processes.
That's awesome. Can your systems, can your VAs help find tenants for multifamily, active tenants that are looking, that are better than, hiring some of these apartment.com and just, hoping they come to you?
Yeah, we actually do have a lot of property managers that use that service. So, leases, lease renewals, filling leases, marketing, etc. Blasting them out to Facebook, blasting them out to Craigslist, whatever system that you have. We do have virtual assistants that do that as well. And those are great tasks to get off the plate. And we have VAs too that take inbound calls because, I literally, I had I have a syndication. I didn't think I told you that, but I have a syndication of, I think, 200 something units in Texas. That I don't do anything with, but we started building a single family portfolio here in Connecticut. And we hired a VA to take the inbound calls because you're getting calls from tenants and it's just a pain in the butt, right? I don't want my phone ringing while I'm trying to have dinner with the family and their phone's ringing saying, all right, hey, my toilet's out, or, I don't know how this kitchen cabinet got ripped off the kitchen. Like, doesn't make any sense. But those are the things that happen. So we actually brought on a VA to do that. We recently just sold all our inventory because the market is extremely high. And we're like, why not sell now? And then we'll build up whenever interest rates go up. So we just sold. We have 2 left right now.
Right.
So that we have,
I mean, they call it a seller's market for a reason.
That's right. That's right. And it's funny. It's important too for all the newer individuals watching this. Is there's markets go up and down, and there are times to sell and there are times to buy. So just keep an eye open for that. I know you do a great job of raising money. I think that is a huge part of this business to make sure you have access to money, because when there is a deal that comes up, you got to be able to strike right away. It's really, really important.
That's right. That's right. How can your VAs and your systems that they work with, can they help raise capital for projects, for people, for investors? It's like somebody like yourself, for example, or another syndicator who's looking to find investors and whatnot. How can your team of virtual assistants help that owner operator?
Here's just an idea. I was just thinking about it right now. So they'd be building the list, right? So it's just like any type of list that you build. You go to Facebook groups, you go to LinkedIn, you go to wherever else, right? You go to Craigslist. I don't know if they're going to be credit investors, maybe hanging out there. Who knows? So you have them go, build connections, join groups, get all their information, whatever pitch that you have, right? So obviously you have a pitch of raising money. We talked about all the incredible projects you're working on right now. So you could have a VA go to all those different groups, start building a list, and then implement whatever that you're looking to implement, whether it's an email packet you want to send them, a strategy call that sets up with you, etc. So 100% they could do that. It's just list building, right? You're building that list.
Right. So you got somebody who's working for a fractional of the cost.
Correct.
Who is specialized in building those systems, building those lists, getting all that information, working for you. That's fantastic. That's awesome. Travelers, that's that is something that will definitely help you scale your business, right? Because Bob, as you know, right, being an entrepreneur and owning multiple companies is like it's analogous to running 15 marathons at the same time, right? Or
right.
playing, or for your analogy, being the only player on the ice, right? You're by yourself and you've got what, five other guys coming at you, and you're going, okay, what am I doing here, right? You need
Right.
an entire team of people behind you to help with finding the deals, right? Negotiating, closing the deals, getting you through the whole
Selling,
process,
all that. Yep. Yep.
right?
And yeah,
So,
and I could definitely add to that, especially if if you're looking at it and you're brand new, right? If you're brand new, you need somebody to help you because you probably have a full-time job somewhere else or a part-time job and you're jumping into real estate to see if it's something that you want to do. And they're tasks that, I know I hate doing. I know you hate doing some tasks that you are outsource. We were just talking about your virtual assistant, right? Your assistant on that side of it. There's stuff that needs to get off your plate. And I always say, if you're doing $10 an hour tasks, that means you have a $10 an hour bank account, right? Because that's really
that's right.
important to look at it that way. And our hours are very valuable, right? I mean, think about that. One deal, one passive income deal for you is huge. It's
Sure.
huge. So
That's
we
right.
shouldn't be doing those. We shouldn't be doing some of those tasks that bookkeeping. You shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be doing social media. You shouldn't be doing building a buyer's list. You shouldn't be cold calling. You shouldn't be texting. You shouldn't be building a packet. You shouldn't be doing any of that stuff.
That's right. That's right. You should be, there's a book called Clockwork by Michael Michalowicz, and he says your task should be mainly designing your
Mhm.
business. You got to delegate. You gotta learn to delegate everything out to your team. Your team has to have the same vision and know exactly where we're going. And then, you kind of step away from it, right? So you now kind of just tweak it where you need tweaking. You become, kind of the coach of a team, right? Right.
Mhm.
You're not the players anymore, right? But you're sitting back and going, hey, you know what? Why don't you just move over a little bit over there? You go that way. You bring it up from here, and you just kind of move that machine forward, and it just increases and increases. So that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
what's funny about that? And the more you start doing this stuff, and you'll have more and more time on your hands once you start outsourcing it. You'll have family, friends, relatives saying, "What do you actually do?" Because you will have a lot of free time. How many times did you get that one? I get that a lot from my kids. Like, Dad, what do you actually do?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My daughters are like, don't you go to work? Um, yes, I go to work.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
Yes, I
work.
go to work.
Yeah, because well, a lot of people don't see the hard work that we put in,
Right.
years and years and years ago, right?
Right.
So you see a lot of successful individuals have more time in their hands. That's why they're more time golfing because they put that hard work in for 10, 15, 20 years. And then, and obviously the hard work comes to fruition later on.
That's right. That's right. You build that base, you build it right, it starts building itself, takes a life on its own, and it just keeps going and going and going. But you got to have that base built
Yeah.
strong, right?
And that's why real estate's awesome because I mean the things that you do as well, all the projects you have, that's all the passive income that comes in, right? It
Hmm.
comes in your bank account every day. And a lot of people a lot of people have no idea. You're like, all right, I'm going on vacation. You're going on vacation again? You know,
Right.
you're able to golf again. You're able to go here.
Hmm.
You're able to go on every trip. For me, I never want to miss any of my kids' sports. Right.
That's right.
That's a big thing for me. And for me, there's nothing else, more important than my kids. Right. I have 3 kids and all different ages. And I try to be at every single game. Last weekend, I think I was at 5 games in one day. So all the way back from Connecticut to Massachusetts, back to Connecticut. Just
Oh wow.
it's part of the game. But you get to do that if you set up the
That's
right
right.
systems and processes for your business.
That's right. It's funny you say that because when we moved in 2009, when we moved to Florida from Israel, and I started getting into it, my youngest daughter was 2.5, and no, my oldest was 2.5, and my youngest was just 6 months old. And I promised myself, and I made it a point, and I said I will not miss any event, any sporting event, ballet, band, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm doing this is to have that time freedom, right? To have control of where I'm going, when I'm going, and that is so crucial for for people, right?
Yep.
A lot of people think it's financial freedom. It's not financial freedom because you look at all these CEOs for these big companies. They're still employees,
Right.
right? They lose their job. They're still 90 days away from bankruptcy because if they're making $1.5 million a month, they're living on $1.5 million,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
They're,
That's true.
they're
That's true.
everybody's out, right? And they could lose their job tomorrow. One bad quarter, like, dude, you're out.
Yeah.
So so it's understanding that and saying, you know what, it's not the financial freedom, it's the time freedom, right? It's
Right.
that passive income, right?
Mm-hmm.
That allows you to build a portfolio where other people are paying your expenses for you. I have a mentorship program as well. And when I start with people, I ask them, I said, what's your goal? Is your goal just to have enough income to pay your bills and you love your job and
Yep.
that's one strategy, right? Some people say, no, man, I want to blow the shit out of the water. I'm like, okay, that's another strategy, right? But the beautiful
Yep.
thing about real estate is that you can buy a house and have that rent pay your electric bill. Now you don't have to worry about
Yep.
$200 a month.
Yep.
Finished,
Yeah. It's
right?
amazing.
And you build an equity,
Yeah.
which is awesome, right?
Yep. It's an interesting business, right? Real estate is an interesting business because there's so many different kind of channels. I know we won't dig into, but a lot of different channels to make money on one house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially on a syndication too. A lot of people don't realize that is, you know what, for a lot of people that I know, you know, they make X amount of money, and a lot of them really don't spend that much money. It's just a game to them, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
as you start going, so let's say both of our goals are 20 grand a month passive, hypothetically. As soon as you hit your 20, you're going to be like, forget that 20. We want 40, right? That's
That's right.
typically what happens, because you're
Let's see how
competitive.
big this thing can get.
That's exactly right. You're like, all right, now I want 100. And then guess what? When you hit 100, you're like, 100, let's keep going. It's just because you're never going to quit. Why would it's if you
Right.
stop, you're going to start dying,
Right. Exactly. I don't
Yeah.
plan on, people ask me, so what's your exit strategy? I go, deathbed.
Yeah.
What do you mean? This is I have an office. I can come and go as I please. I
Yeah.
enjoy what I do. There's no real end game. I'm not building something to sell it to someone. I'm
Right.
retired already, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're basically retired, but we're doing what we want because we enjoy it. We love it. It's exciting. We're
Yeah.
not doing it because we got to pay the bills at the end of the month. And I'm pretty sure, in your mentorship program as well as mine, that's kind of the mindset that we lead with, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, and it's important too. The thought process there is you start looking at individuals like you said that do end up selling. They go through a depression. It's like when you're done. You built the company up for all these years, and all of a sudden, let's say you sell it for whatever multiple that you
Right.
get, but then you're gonna look in the mirror like, what the hell do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
What I have to start something again because you have no purpose, you have no
Right.
passion, you have no everybody needs that kind of drive or that kind of passion, that kind of purpose. They need something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's your drive? And we're going to end with that.
Yep. No, I love running businesses. I love, the more you create, the more people you help as well. Right. I mean, when you start a business, it was on one of your last podcasts. I forgot the individuals that said, I think it was an Amazon center that came in and they had 1,000 people that are working there that each person creates 3 extra jobs as an
Mm-hmm.
example. I can't remember exactly how that went.
Right.
But that's one of the things for me personally. We have about 1,000 people that work for us in the Philippines, and we get to help their families, and we get to help them change their lives, help them buy houses, buy cars, and things that
Mm-hmm.
they never would have had if we didn't have our company. So there's a lot of things like there that are very very passionate to me and our company.
That's awesome, my man. Thank you so much. And Bob, how can people find you on social media? I know we have it written on the bottom, but just for people who are listening, how can they reach out to you? Find out more
Yeah,
about
just
Reaper Global.
absolutely. Yeah, you could just send me an email. You could check us on our website, which is Riva Global, REVA Global.com. Or on Facebook, same thing. Just search Riva Global Virtual Assistants, and we're gonna pop up. LinkedIn, all those other channels as well.
Awesome, my man. Bob, thanks so much for being on the show. Thank you for doing what you're doing and helping out all those families. That is definitely sending out some good vibes all around. And, you know, we can't have enough of that, right?
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, travelers. I'm going to see you next week, same time, somewhere on Spaceship Earth. And I want to thank our sponsors, Jade PMC, for all your management, property management questions, and to manage all of your properties. And we've got Cornerstone Investment Partners and MTN Investment Group. Thank you for being here. And we're going to see you somewhere next week, somewhere on Spaceship Earth. Be well.